Hi guys, this is Rosalind Lewis coming to you from beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. So you guys know the drill. If you are getting value from the content I have been bringing to you, click the subscribe and like buttons, and don't forget to click the notification bell so that you won't miss any of my weekly videos when they premiere. So, with that said, today is all about credit because I get that question so much. So, I have a special friend, Belinda Bennett, a financial counselor with Rise Up Financial Freedom Solutions LLC. Belinda is an Army veteran, a commissioned and certified notary that conducts real estate closings in North Carolina, with over 22 years combined in performing real estate transactions, assisting landlords and tenants in property management, along with helping others grow their businesses. Her work led her to uncover her true passion for helping others in their finances. So my prayer is that you will learn from the years of experience she has with helping others heal their credit and financial woes through her educating and guiding clients to creating better lives for themselves and for their families. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. So guys, as I told you before, today I have the privilege of having Belinda Bennett with me from Rise Up Financial Freedom Solutions LLC. And we want you to welcome Belinda. Yay!
Thank
So
you.
welcome.
Hi, Rosalind. How are you?
I'm doing well. So we're going to jump right in here with our questions to Belinda, because I know all of us have a million to give her, but she only has a little bit of time with me today. So we're going to jump right into it. So why do we have so many credit scores? Because we have three from three different agencies.
So you have actually two different types of credit scores that are mainly known as FICO, which is with the Fair Isaac Company. And they're the originators of the score that lenders use when anyone is actually trying to do a loan or anything dealing with credit cards. Anytime you do an application to apply for credit, it's a FICO score that they go by. There's a Vantage score that many consumers come across with, like the applications of Credit Karma, Credit Wise, and this is a different scoring system. However, these were created by TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian much later than FICO came up with their numbers. And you have three different scoring systems, or you should have three different categories. You have TransUnion score, you have Equifax score, and you have Experian score. And the reason why you have three different numbers, whether it's FICO or Vantage, is because you have different creditors that report different information to all three of these agencies. Many people refer to them as credit bureaus. However, the true name is consumer reporting agencies, because usually bureaus are attached to a government organization and they're not a part or affiliated with the government at all.
So when you see the commercial that I think is Equifax, Experian, it's Experian Boost. So when people go out there and add, say, their water bill or their payments like that, and that boosts their credit, it really is not a true boost. Would you say?
It can be a boost for your Vantage score, because once again, they're the ones controlling that particular type of score. When you actually pull a person's credit report, you're going by exactly what's been reported on each account. And these accounts are considered trade lines. So they're interchangeable when it comes to the term. So if a consumer here, how many trade lines do you have? They're just asking about the accounts that's been reported on your credit report itself. And the boost may have a little merit when it comes to showing that you are a responsible person paying these things on time. And that's the goal, is knowing that they have good payment history when you have all of these different variations of accounts that's been reported.
Because I know when I talk to lenders, they say that they have a different way of looking at credit than, say, when people go out and do that, like Experian Boost or something like that. And people think that they're the same. That when they're looking at those credit, people do think that that's the same.
And it's unfortunate where you have these three components, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, they're out to actually advertise. They have a hidden agenda when it comes to how they come to consumers, trying to show that they're helpful to them. Many people have this impression that they are monitoring their credit. They also have this impression that they are able to help them with increasing their score to some degree. And it's all about understanding what they can do and what they cannot do for you. And so you have to do your due diligence, because you have commercials that falsely advertise things all the time. And, you do have consumer protection laws, agencies that help protect consumers to make sure that they're not being manipulated to a point where it is too problematic. So they do have restrictions and rules that they do have to apply to, because if they do violate a consumer rights, they can be sued, they can be penalized. So this happens all the time, but many times they ignore things because we don't know what we don't know. And so to get back to
that's true.
So to get back to your point, as far as what Experian is advertising, the truth of the matter is whatever is actually on your credit report is what lenders are looking at. So if it's not reporting on Experian report or your Equifax nor your TransUnion, then it's not relevant when it comes to the scoring system. And I do refer to Credit Karma. It's an application that most people upload on their phone. And many people stress themselves out because they're always seeing this number change back and forth. And it's like, what just happened to my score? And so it causes unnecessary stress just because you don't understand what they really are doing. So again, there's a hidden agenda to why you have that actual application, and to see exactly what all is on there. So if you scroll up, you usually see credit card offers. Do you know why?
Oh, I didn't know that. That is right. When I look at mine, that's what it has.
And that's just another way of them kind of putting subliminal messages out there for you to feel that you can, at some point, be able to apply and get approved for one of these cards that they're advertising. They do have ratings of your likelihood of actually getting approved, but they don't know what you're going to be able to approve for or not, because they're not the parties who's going to actually approve it. The other third party is, so Capital One, for instance, they may actually have a Capital One Platinum card that they're offering. The key is, if anytime you apply for that card, whether you get approved or denied, they are going to get commissions from that. They're actually getting a kickback from anyone that applies, get approved or denied on the majority of these applications that are actually offered through the credit card offers.
Wow, I did not know that. See, I'm learning something too. Okay. So what do you say to people that say that they don't have time to work on their credit?
If you don't have time to work on your credit, then you don't really have time to complain about your credit or not being able to get approved for anything else. Because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to take care of the things that matter to us. So you will find the time when you're serious enough to actually get that car, get that house, get that appliance, anything that you feel that you really want, you will make time for it. And that's what I tell people all the time. I don't give my kids excuses, and I'm not going to give an adult an excuse for that.
I don't give mine excuses either. I'm a tough mom.
You gotta be.
Yeah, you do. You really do, to teach them how to live on their own, because one day
Yeah,
we won't be here and they need to know how to function in this world.
you got that right.
So, can a person work on their credit themselves?
Oh, definitely. That's something that I encourage, is to understand terminology, understand what it is that you're signing off on. So you have a possible credit card in your possession. There is a invoice or bill that you receive or statement every month. When it comes to reading and understanding the verbiage that's on there, that's for you. Everything that you can think of that pertains to your credit file, that card, anything that can actually hurt or help you is in that documentation. And so it's just a matter of understanding, you want to know and make sure you're responsible by paying your bills on time. That is very critical, because when you're dealing with the components that make up a credit score, there are 5. And it surrounds itself with 35% is your payment history. So when you actually have a bill and it's due on the first of the month, you want to make sure you pay it before the first of the month. Make sure that you can actually either do it over the phone, which is instant. You can set it up with your automatic bill payment through your banking institution, whether it's your bank or credit union. You just want to make sure that if it's not electronically debited out of your account and they have to actually physically mail a check, you're giving at least a good 14 days to actually get to them. Because mail, again, it's iffy. You just never know what might get to the destination and what may get lost. So you just want to make sure you're covering yourself at all possible when it comes to that.
Especially now, since the mail is going so slow.
It's going extremely slow. And then again, you still have human beings that are delivering the mail, and they do make mistakes. So just imagine, it's already going slow. It may actually go into a neighbor's box and not yours. So now it's another delay, and it may never even get to you.
That's right.
So there's so many different things that a person can actually identify. And again, when it comes to paying on time, and if you feel that you're going to be late, I encourage everyone, pick up your phone, call that company to let them know, I need to make payment arrangements because I've run into a situation. Can you give me until next week? And the important part of all of that is, be a person of your word. If you say you're going to pay it on the new date that they're extending to you, make sure you're paying it on that date, because chances are they're going to waive the penalty, so you don't have to worry about a late fee. Because again, anytime that you have a late payment and it's going to be reported to your credit, it's going to dock about 100 points. Is that serious? So it's very important for you to understand how FICO work, because that actually helps a lot when it comes to how you manage your credit altogether.
Oh my God, 100 points.
So you got to think about it. When you think about a pie chart, it's 100% of the pie, and 35% of that is how you pay.
Wow. Okay. I'm taking notes. So how do a person dispute something on their credit report? Say, because I see that all the time. People will say, this doesn't belong to me. And I don't know how to get it off.
Okay, so there is a few ways. The first thing you want to do, of course, if they see that there's something on the credit report, that means they have received it. I do encourage everyone to not get a credit report once a year, but multiple times during a year, because things change all the time. And with identity theft, it is running rampant, and you could be a victim of that. And the best way to actually identify if there's an issue is if you have your most recent credit report, looking through everything very thoroughly. And if there's something that you see that does not belong to you or is strange, you can simply actually call the number that's on your report, because usually you have each account that's reported. On the very last few pages, it usually have the actual creditor or debt collector's information, their name, their mailing address, their phone number. And that is another way that you can call to inquire. Now, if you know that for sure it's not yours, you can send a letter to that particular credit reporting agency to let them know, I don't know this account, this is not mine. And they have to do their due diligence to actually investigate and research if this is yours and prove that this information belongs to you.
Mhm.
So that is one way of doing that. And again, it goes back to your financial institution. If you see anything on your statement that doesn't look right, some things are double charged. If you're at a restaurant or if you are at a gas station, you can actually still be a victim of someone taking your information from the pump. I mean, it's impressive how criminals have come up with so many different ways to take something that doesn't belong to them.
Mhm.
And many times you will have, if you have a good banking system, they will actually see that there's some type of strange activity going on, and they usually will shut down their account, call you to confirm if you made this transaction, or they will just completely let you know that they're sending you a new card because yours has been compromised. And it can be very inconvenient, but it's very good to know that you have protections like that in place for you.
Yeah, it is inconvenient. I've had it happen to me twice, but I was glad that somebody was watching.
And I also will encourage people to do more things by documentation versus over the phone, just because you want to be able to track information. When you mail something, have a tracking number and make a copy of the letter that you're sending so that you can make sure that they're going to do their due diligence within the 45-day window of getting back to you on that disputed account.
Okay. So tell me the things that lower my credit score and then the things that make it higher.
All right. So I had spoke on, there's 5 components of FICO. One is your payment history. The other one is your utilization of your debt or credit. The length of credit that you had as far as history and time, how many different types of credit you have, and then new credit or inquiries. So the first component, if you're wanting to actually increase your score, continue to pay on time, even earlier than the due date. And that will help you stay in that 35% positive part of the pie chart. When it comes to your debt level, the utilization, if you have a credit card that is $900, you do not want to go and exceed 50% because that will have an adverse reaction to your score. It will start going down. Creditors look to see how responsible you're using your credit. So they don't want you to be maxing out of your card. And if you don't know, you don't know. Many people that I come across, it's maxed out all the time. And again, that's hurting them more so than helping them be in a position they could be paying on time. But if their utilization is still high, it's still hurting them. The rule of thumb is, and most of you probably have heard, keep it at 30%. Well, 30% only keeps it safe. It doesn't make it go up or down when it comes to your score. When you start using 10% or less, your score can start increasing over time as long as you maintain it under the 10% utilization every month.
Wow. So if you have a zero balance credit card and you close that puppy, why does it make your credit score go down?
Okay, so now we're going to go to the point of length of credit. How long have you had your card? So if you've had a retail card like JCPenney's for over 5 years, even though you have a zero balance, you have a history of having a good account if it's been paid on time and it's in good standing at a $0 balance. Don't close that card unless something happens out of your control where the company is closed down and of course the card can't be used anymore, and they will actually have it closed involuntarily because again, you cannot use it if they're no longer existing. So when it comes to that, I always encourage my clients that you want to try to use that card every 3 months, because they can shut your card down and off completely if it's inactive. So that if they like, well, we're not actually benefiting because this person's not using the card, then we can find someone else that can possibly use the credit. And it just kind of forces you to be a little bit more mindful of what you have in your possession and the strategies that govern how to increase your score. But yes, if you have a good account that has a lot of history, please leave it open. Now, if you have a lot of credit cards and you're trying to minimize what you have just so you can actually feel like you're not going to be tempted to overspend, I would encourage you to go to the most recent card and you can close that account, because the way the math works, and it's not like when we're in school, they go by the average of your time of when you opened your last account. So you may have an account for 5 years. The more recent accounts that you open that is considered like within the year, a few months, it changes the trajectory of that average now. So it's not longer, the most is 5 years. It starts going down to 3 years, 2 years, because the more new accounts you have, it changes the actual average of how long you've actually had credit over time.
Oh, okay. Because I have a card that I don't use and I'm afraid to close it because I don't want my credit score to go down because I have a really good credit score.
Okay.
And that's why I've been holding on to it, but I haven't used it in, oh Lord, probably 8 years.
Really? And it's still open?
And it's still open.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So this is the thing. Even if you have outstanding credit because everything else is doing really, really well, and you know that you probably won't ever use that card, once again, you can voluntarily close the account because it's still going to be in good standing because you don't have anything negative reporting, right? And as long as you manage your current accounts and still are in good standing going forward, your score will start still going up. It's not going to hurt you too much because of the type of card or type of account it is. If it was a mortgage per se, and you sold your home, your score would go down significant because you don't have that huge credibility anymore showing what you're paying. So when it comes to the type of account you have, it does weigh some more than others, depending on exactly the amount that you have toward that particular account.
See, I didn't know that. That's good information. So as we're talking about credit scores, what is a good credit score and what is an absolutely bad credit score?
Okay, so when you're dealing with mortgages, some places are willing to work with you at a 580 score. That is still not really good because your interest rate is going to be very, very high. So to have a real sweet spot, you want to have at least a 640 or above. So you have a fair credit score. And again, it's workable because you can get a home depending on what type of loan you're trying to actually sign off on. And again, you just have to talk to whoever you're working with to actually find out exactly what their approval restriction or stipulations are. When it comes to a poor score, anything that's under 600, even under 620, you want to actually get to a point where you don't have to worry about interest rate being very, very high when you have a big ticket item that you're going to purchase, just because the higher the amount is, the interest rate is going to actually have a lot to do with how much you're going to pay over time. And so when you understand percentages and all of that, that kind of helps when it comes to making sound decisions for these types of investments.
Okay. So now let's talk about when you have an old debt that hadn't been paid, and all of a sudden the creditor starts calling you, say it's like 5 years old, and a creditor starts calling you about it. Do you have to pay it?
Okay, so this is the law. So we're going to talk about the law more so than our opinions.
Okay.
depending on your state, you have statutes of limitations, and that just means there's a certain time frame that a creditor can sue you for money that you owe if you go into default on credit that you have borrowed and never paid back. Hardships happen all the time. Here in North Carolina, it's 3 years. If a person has not paid once it's gone into default, that they can actually come after you and sue you. After the 5 years, for the example you have given, they don't have that autonomy to actually do that anymore. However, they can still seek the money by calling, sending letters, sending emails, requesting that you pay. They may sell that debt to a debt collector, and chances are, if it's 5 years old that you have not paid it, it's probably in different types of debt collectors' hands, bouncing from one company to another. The rule is, once you actually stop paying that account within the 30-day time frame of when it's considered late, that's the date that it starts when it comes to statute of limitations, that it can stay on your credit for 7 years from that date. Okay, so when it comes to, again, when you stop paying, when it's considered 30 days late, that date of when it's 30 days, the 30th day, then your statute of limitation starts on that very day for 7 years. And if you have an account that is 5 years old and you're not about to make a large purchase where it may actually be a problem, if they see that you have this account that's in a negative status, then you may just want to wait your 2 more years so it can actually come off of your credit. However, if you make any type of arrangements to pay on this because you just want to be honest, I know it's mine, I'm going to pay for it, make sure it's a win-win situation. And what I mean by that is, anytime you actually make a payment on a defaulted account, the statute of limitations start all over. So if it's 5 years ago and today you make a payment, now your statute of limitations starts on today's date.
I was going to ask you that. I figured that's what it was going to happen.
So you have to weigh your situation, if it's worth you doing that or is it not. And if you are going to do that, it needs to be, again, a win-win where it's not going to still be a problem for you on your credit, because they can receive your money, you take care of their account, it's been paid based on the settlement agreement or paid in full, even though it's still in default, it may still be on your credit report because you didn't make an arrangement for them to remove it completely or no longer report on that account if you paid it off and worked on the agreement that was made. And at this point, they won because they got the money, but you're losing because now it's still a negative against you on your report that's showing that you're still a high risk because it went through a charge-off status on your report. And that's the reason why it's very important for you to understand negotiating. If you want my money, I don't mind paying it, but in return, I would like for you to no longer report this account. It needs to be in writing because anyone can say anything over the phone. You have several people that works for a company that may not be there next month, next year. So whatever arrangements you made with them, if they didn't put it in their system, it's your word against theirs. So you just want to make sure everything is documented. When that letter comes and say, we're willing to work with you if you pay XYZ amount, we will no longer report it to your credit, and make sure it's removed off all three. Though that's what you want to hear. That's what you want to see. And once that is in your hand, then you can go ahead and move forward with the arrangement that you made.
Okay. So if you are a person that is being worn out by people calling you to collect on a debt, how do you deal with them?
Okay. So yes, you have those people that consider they're harassing you because they're calling you every single day, multiple times a day. Now, there are, again, consumer protection laws that protect you, like the FTC. When it comes to phone calls, if you ask them not to call you anymore, especially if you're at work, because they usually have your work number, your mobile number, your neighbor, someone in your family, they're going to call everybody until they actually talk to you to make arrangements. Until you say, no longer call me at work. If they call you again and you've already told them not to, that's a violation. And again, you can sue. If you actually want to finalize it to make sure they no longer do that, you can send them a cease and desist letter and send that certified, showing proof that you have mailed it and told them no longer to call you, because there's another means of them reaching you by mail. And that way you may be bombarded with a lot of paper, but again, it's up to you to actually put it aside until you're ready to deal with it. But yeah, you do have rights that you can actually exercise when it comes to dealing with a situation like that.
Well, they make you feel like you don't have any rights.
That is their job.
They can be very abusive in their language to you and everything. So people feel like they don't have any rights.
So this is the thing, and that's why it goes back to understanding what you signed off on. Every document has exactly what processes they will take if you go into default. And unless they say on that documentation that you have something on collateral that it can take from you, unless they say that they can actually garnish your wages, any of those things that may have actually been signed off with you agreeing, then you don't have anything to worry about other than the fact that there's someone on the other end of the phone that has a job to do for a company that they're getting paid for. So whether they collect from you or not, they're still getting paid. But at the end of the day, that's their job, is to try to collect as much as they can for the company on the company's behalf, because they don't know you personally. They won't ever know you personally. And you just need to understand that the thing between you and that person is your phone that you can control. And you can always say, no longer call me, put them on the block. When it comes to how your cell phone works, it can actually help you navigate that phone number where you don't receive any more phone calls. But again, when you say no longer call me, this is a cease and desist request, and send a letter, you have the right to do that to protect yourself from that harassment and that anxiety that you feel, because they can be intimidating. They are good at their job. And again, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a job, and they don't take it personally. It's their business. But you, it's personal because you don't have the money. You are able to pay for whatever reason. And it's not that you purposely put yourself in that situation. Most people are not going to purposely put themselves in that situation, I should say. So you're just wanting to make sure they're no longer stressing you out where you cannot think, and it's going to become problematic for other things. So you do have the power within your control to just say, again, cease and desist, no longer call me.
That is great information. So let's talk about banks. Which do you prefer, or do you tell your clients to be with a credit union or to be with a larger bank like a Wells Fargo or a Bank of America?
All right, so I'm glad you asked that question. When it comes to you financial institutions, I actually am for credit unions. And it's because when you see credit unions and you see their fee schedule compared to a bank, and their fee schedule is totally different. Most of your credit unions are nonprofit organizations, and that means they actually work for the community. They work with the community. So when it comes to the fees, it's at an affordable fee if there's a penalty, and they're actually for the consumer. They have a lot of products that help individuals. On the bank side, they're corporations. So they're not nonprofit 9 out of 10 times. And when it comes to their goal is to make as much as they possibly can for the corporation. So when you are as an individual coming to them, you're going to have a whole lot of high rates, a lot of stipulations. You might have to have a certain amount of money that you have to remain in your account. Otherwise, they're going to charge you. And it's a lot of those types of things that, even though the name is highly known or widely known, it doesn't mean it's always for you. Most banks are really good when you're dealing with a business account. So if you're a business owner, work for yourself, have your own company, then having a medium-sized bank to actually work with, or a larger size bank, depending upon what your staff is like and the money that you're bringing in every year, you can choose from those two. But again, credit unions are more for consumers and banks are more for the corporation.
Okay, I get that. So let's talk a little bit about when someone is trying to work through their credit issues and they're trying to find extra money to put towards that debt. How can they do that?
Okay, so if you use debit cards more so than cash, and if you use both, keep your receipts. So I would challenge you today for a whole week. Every time you buy something, whether it's online or if it's in person, keep your receipt. By the end of the week, look over all of your receipts and know if there's something that you had to have purchased versus you just wanted. Many times you can find where you have paid for coffee every day, for example, at Starbucks, because I have to have my coffee. I have to get my perk for the first thing in the morning. So I grab that coffee from Starbucks and I head to the office. If you go through and find out how much you have spent every day, and typically it's a 5-day work week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have bought a cup of coffee that's average about $3.50 maybe, then you just multiply that $3.50 or $4, let's put it even numbers, $4 times 5, that's $20. You have 52 weeks in a year. So what is 52 times $20? That's over $100, right? So you can possibly just go and buy you a coffee maker. Starbucks have some of the great coffee in the stores. So you can actually buy you a bag. You can buy you the Keurig cups, whatever the device that you decide to actually invest in, because this is an investment, because you got to have your coffee, right? You want to make sure that you actually are able to identify how you're saving your money over time so that you can actually be able to get other things. Because if you're working 2 jobs, there's a lot that you got to look into how you can trim down your expenses. You can also, for your utilities, for example, they are different bills that comes in with different amounts every month. However, they do offer an equal payment plan through Duke Energy for your electric bill. The water for City of Charlotte here in Charlotte, North Carolina, they have something I think similar, and so does Piedmont Natural Gas. You can call them to ask if that's an option for you to actually be on a equal payment plan where every month you know exactly what you're going to pay. What they typically do is they take 12 months from last year, do an average of what you spend every month, and then they can actually have it curtailed so that it can be your current bill every month for this current year. And then by the 11th month, they'll see if you exceeded that amount when it comes to your utilization, or if it was under. So you may get a credit, or you may have to pay a little bit more to set off the difference for that 12th month. So that can help you when it comes to your budget, knowing exactly what you have to pay every single month, and also take into consideration your annual expenses, like your commissions for your car.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go and get your emissions checked once a year and pay your car taxes. So when it comes to those once a year types of bills, again, just keep those in account. And there's a way that you can actually maximize all the things you have just by keeping them in a calendar with a reminder, so you can make sure with your budget, you can safely prepare for 30 days ahead of time.
Now, I do know with the utility bills, if you have not been paying on time, that they will not allow you to do the equal payment plans. So
that's unfortunate.
So if you haven't been paying, they probably won't allow you to be a part of that program. So you have to make sure.
Yes, you're correct. With that being said, if you know that may have been a problem for you and now you're about to get yourself in gear because now you're about to be serious and you're about to be focused, ask them, okay, how long does it take for me to get to the point that I can? And they may say, well, you have to show that you're paying on time for the next 6 months or the next 12 months. 6 months, of course, would be great because that's really obtainable and you can start getting things together with the plan, for the next 6 months. But if it's a whole year, you just got to remember, you put yourself in that situation. For whatever happened in your situation, it happened. But you do have an option as long as you're proving to them that you can do this. And that's the way you can actually put yourself in a position of being in good graces with them.
Okay. So now, what would you say to someone that is absolutely afraid of this process and to calm their fears about going through the process? Because it's doable. It is. If you get yourself in it, it's doable to get out.
And it's almost like anything else. Many times, however, it's how long it took you to get to this point. It may take you as much time or a little longer to get out of it. So it's not a rushed situation at all. So when it comes to knowing exactly what's been reported, first get your credit report. You can go to annualcreditreport.com and get it for free. You can get it from TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Know exactly what's been reported out there on you. Many times that's the missing piece, is that people are just like, I don't want to see my credit report because I know it's bad. Well, you don't know really how bad it is because you just think it is. Depending on when this situation may have occurred several years ago, it may not be as devastating against you now, based on what you're currently doing. So just know. And for me, I just don't like people telling me something before I know about myself. And these are strangers. Don't pull my information and you're telling me something like, I'm so sorry, but you have this, this, and this, and I have no knowledge of it. Why is that? Yeah. That's not on them. That's on me. Yeah. So you just pull your report to know what's going on. And again, I'm all about working with someone based on where you currently are. We cannot go last year and say, oh, I wish I did this and the other, because that we cannot go backwards. But going forward, I can help you put a plan in action where you can understand these are all of my options. I might not be able to afford paying this off right now, but now I know where I can start saving some money and start making arrangements so I can actually get this under my control. Because what you don't want is to be controlled by your debt. That's no way to live. You work too hard and you want to be able to see the fruits of your labor. So you can just, again, have an adult moment. We got to start adulting more and start actually being responsible.
Absolutely.
And just say, okay, I messed up. All right, so now we're going to pick up the pieces, because what would you say to someone else, like your child? Mommy, I did not study. I got an F and I cannot believe I'm failing now. Okay, baby. Well, you didn't study. So what do you have to do now? You need to study. Right. And I will quiz you. So you're not by yourself. So when you have your material, read over it. I will test you and we can actually help you get back to where you need to be at. It's the same thing here. Get an accountability partner, your husband, your boyfriend, your sister, your best friend, whoever could actually help you in this regard, to say, hey, I just need some help. Can you try to help me with whatever it might be you're struggling with? And just simplify it. We're not meant to be stressed to a point that is hurting us in our health. So we have to find ways of just getting in control, and it's just taking baby steps. Yeah. Take one little step at a time until you're running and sprinting, and you're going to be fine. But again, you just have to make that first decision in your mind that I'm going to take a stand and make a start.
Yeah. This has been so good. Oh. So now I want you to tell everybody about the things you have coming up that's going to educate people more about credit.
All right. So I am so excited with where everything is going with Rise of Financial Freedom Solutions, LLC. That's my baby. And I love being able to help others understand things in a more simpler way of how they can control their life. So I am working on my online course program where you can become a member and you will have access to how to improve my credit, things that we just kind of talked about here. And it's going to be more in depth where you can actually, if you catch me on a live, you'll be able to ask, questions right then and there. And you can go over as far as debt, credit, buying an apartment or renting an apartment, renting a home, buying a home, what type of account do you want? So again, it's going to go into all of those different categories, and it's going to touch on identity theft, how to avoid it, how to acknowledge and spot it, when it comes to what you see, and you can catch when people are phishing, trying to email you to try to help you give up some of your credentials, things like that. It happens all the time. Too many companies have been hacked just because they have an employee that was vulnerable and didn't realize what they were opening. So it's all about educating so you can actually identify. And to me, education is key. Always be learning, and you can stay on top of a lot of things in your life that way. So I'm excited to be able to offer that to you guys.
And I'm excited for you. Yay. This has been so good. I hope you guys have really enjoyed Belinda. She is such a smart lady, and she has so much to offer us as far as learning about credit, because all of us need to know about it because it concerns all of us. Every one of us have been confronted with a credit issue at some point in our lives. So Belinda, thank you for joining me today, and we're gonna sign off, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
So guys, I hope you learned a few things that you did not know about managing and improving credit from Belinda. I am going to definitely invite her back. She has such a passion for what she does, and she truly wants to help others. And that's what I love about her, through education. I have included Belinda's contact information down below so you can get in contact with her. So with that said, don't forget to subscribe and click the like button along with the notification bell so you will get the new videos each week from me that I'm premiering. So stay tuned. Another one of my videos is coming right up.